kings, queens, and in-betweens. Welcome. It's that very special time of the week at 12:00 something. I heard it's a good time somewhere. Who knows if that's true, but it's that time. Return of the Mark. You know that I'll be back. And it's time for our very first, very special episode. It's Go Home Week. I'm so excited for Double or Nothing, and I made a big plan to get together with a bunch of friends. Then a colleague tested positive for COVID, and now I have to work that day. Oh well. My friend is fine, which is the important thing. And I'm going to try to do an even more very special episode to come out shortly after I watch the event. As of writing, I don't know what that's going to look like. I thought of maybe doing it live on Twitch, but I'm not going to watch it live. So it'll be long after the show. It'll be so long after the show, that is, that it'll be kind of weird. It'll end up on YouTube at any rate. Isn't that cool, though? 2 very special episodes in 1 week. I'm sure to win at the species. Anyway, we're on to Dynamite. We open right away with Shawn Spears versus Wardlow in the cage, MJF special ref. Fuck yes. MJF comes out with the Shawn Michaels ref gear. It's a beautiful thing. Spears comes out with a Punisher skull thing. I think it's an Army of 2 reference. That's random as hell. And 2 chairs. He's got to come out with 2 chairs from now on. It's too good. Lose the skull thing. Still no music for Wardlow, but we get the strong Wardlow chants and a respectable pop when the man comes through the entryway. We start out with a fantastic callback to Wardlow's turn at Revolution when MJF can't find the key to his cuffs and Spears jumps him. Wardlow gets the boots to him medium style by both men, but when Wardlow tries to make a comeback, MJF rakes his eyes. We get a double team push into the cage, but Wardlow back body drops Spears and faces off with MJF, demanding the cuffs be removed. When MJF spits in his face, Wardlow, in a rage, breaks the cuffs off himself. Holy shit. The crowd chants, "You fucked up," as Wardlow could not look fucking cooler. It is amazing. Wardlow finally gets his offense in, hitting a Senton Atomico, but MJF refuses to count. Wardlow goes for the powerbomb, but MJF low blows him, and Spears hits the C4, and they try a fast count, but Wardlow kicks out. Spears leaves the cage, kind of counterintuitive, to get a chair, and MJF holds Wardlow to get hit with the chair, but Spears hits MJF when Wardlow moves out of the way. We get an amazing shot of Spears looking shocked as Wardlow rises up behind him and the crowd chant, "You fucked up again." Wardlow pulls the straps down and looks horny for violence and starts powerbombing the fuck out of Spears over and over. Referee Bryce Remsburg runs down and we get one more powerbomb onto the chair and a foot pin for the win, making the match between Wardlow and MJF at Double or Nothing official. Now that the match is over, Wardlow is allowed to touch MJF again and goes for the powerbomb, but the security force rushes the cage. Wardlow takes them all the fuck out and powerbombs one of them onto the cage, and that guy lands in between the cage and the ring, effectively disappearing. Wardlow climbs and poses on top of the cage while MJF appears to shit himself on top of the ramp. This is the match I'm hands down most excited for this Sunday. Watching Wardlow's build-up from basically full gear to now has been so amazing. The man is an absolute stud and is going to be a huge star. After over 20 years of watching wrestling, Wardlow is a guy you look at first glance and you think of guys who just bounced off. This is going to be another big dumb guy who doesn't get over, and after being shown as a big deal for 3 weeks in a pay-per-view, he's going to fall off and do silly comedy stuff and get fired. Nuh-uh. Not Wardlow. I'm in love with this man, and I need him to get any belt as soon as he's done with MJF. Wonderful segment. We take a moment for JR to express their thoughts and prayers going to the victims and families of Uvlad. Excuse me. I don't know the name of the town. but the school shooting that just happened. JR says there's not much to say, but something's got to happen, and he's right. It's truly time for something to happen. I'm gonna try to not go on too much of a rant here, but is it really too much to ask for fucking anything? It seems like every time this happens, and we're only a few days removed from the last time this happened, America just crosses its fingers and hopes it doesn't happen again. We need something. Gun control, better health services, better mental health services, better crisis management, police reform, anything. Feels like all we can do is clasp our hands together and just beg for anything to be taken care of. And spineless worms like Ted Cruz go on TV and fake outrage over the schools having back doors while he takes donations straight from the NRA. I don't believe in hell, but if it exists, these subhuman cretin are fucking going there. The Jericho Appreciation Society. Oh, that's a fucking... I need a drink. The Jericho Appreciation Society are backstage saying this Sunday at Anarchy in the Arena, they're going to show everyone how violent sports entertainers can be. They bully a guy wearing a John Moxley shirt and a headset, and Jericho throws a fireball in his face. We're in the ring with Tony Schiavone. God, I say his name wrong every time. Jesus, that's unbelievable. We're in the ring with Tony Schiavone for the face-to-face confrontation between CM Punk and Hangman Adam Page. Punk and Page come out to great ovation. Punk noticeably louder, but that's okay. They're both very popular. The nameplates for both men note that they each won their last matches with each other's finishes, which is a cool tidbit. Punk says the most famous moment of his career happened in Vegas, and he's excited to walk out of Vegas with the championship. We move to Hangman, who's got some booze, interestingly. Hangman is asked about Punk's confidence, and Hangman says he's said what he's got to say, and he's going to destroy Punk. Punk says it's really not that personal. He's just the next challenger, and that's what it is. Page says he wanted to sit cross-legged on top of the ramp and light his own pipe bomb, but couldn't do it. He realized it's exactly what Punk would do, and he doesn't want to stoop to Punk's level. He doesn't hate Punk, just pities him and has no respect for him. Punk doesn't realize what it takes to be champion anymore. Punk talks about workers' rights, but has shown the opposite, and Page has to defend all elite wrestling from Punk, and the crowd chants cowboy shit. Punk reiterates that it isn't personal, and if he has to take it out on Punk, he has his opportunity Sunday. Punk says that the road Page walked down was paved by him. The house was built of wood Punk chopped down. Punk says Page will respect him and shake his hand after the match. In fact, he'll shake his hand right now. This leads to some shoving, and Page punches Punk out. Punk smiles from the floor, and Page walks off. This is effectively our final build to the title match, and I think it's like kind of interesting. It feels like Page is afraid of Punk in some way, like screwing with the vibes of AEW, like as a whole. Which honestly, hey, Punk has been a toxic force in every locker room he's ever been in. Where like, he's been like kind of the guy who kind of everybody can't stand in, Ring of Honor and WWE. And it seems like it's like kind of the opposite now. They're releasing articles and stuff about how he's, really become a locker room leader, like is always out to like give advice or be approachable, and like he says that's what he wants to do now, is to be that, Eddie Guerrero, Tracy Smothers figure to the other guys. But I think, Page sees through that and thinks he sees like the old Punk that everybody forgot about. And I think it's pretty Pretty compelling stuff. Next, we get a vignette about Jade Cargill and Anna Jay rematch for the TBS Championship. Anna Jay says she's learned a lot since losing to Cargill the first time, and Jade says she's gonna win. I wish there was more going on for this match. I really like both women, particularly Cargill, but she's been tied up with forming the baddies, so there isn't much build-up. The match will be cool, I'm sure. I just wish I had a bit more grease on it. Regal is at the commentary booth, and he says he finds Excalibur rather lovely, delightful. Jericho Appreciation Society come out, and people start singing Judas, but Jericho cuts the music, saying Vegas doesn't have what it takes to sing their song. The most natural way for it to turn a bad guy for Jericho, that it's perfect. Mox and Kingston walk out through the crowd as we get a recap of Bryan Danielson getting his foot stuck in between the ring and the ramp last week. I think that was fake. I don't know. Kingston is wearing a Terry Funk shirt, which is amazing. Private Party walk out and get jumped as we get some schmoz out of the gate. Quinn does a cool moonsault, but Mox takes back over and tags in Kingston, who hits a powerbomb and a double underhook suplex. We get a cool double team as Mox tags back in and Quinn tags out, and he and Isaiah Cassidy start working Mox over, but it doesn't last long. Mox hits his release suplex. So I'm adding words to what I'm trying to say. Jesus. Mox hits his release suplex as Kingston hits his Saito suplex outside, and we get back into the ring. We get back to the outside schmozzin. Kingston tries to use the chair, but the ref takes it away, but it doesn't really slow down this dismantling. Private Party get thrown into the steps, into the barricade, just thrown to and fro, hither and thither. Mox locks in the Regal stretch in the ring while Kingston continues to just beat the fuck out of Quinn outside. Finally, Kingston's back on the apron as picture-in-picture ends. The tables turn and Private Party are able to hit a tandem tope con hilo and corkscrew plancha. They hit a diving cutter and shooting star that looked amazing, but Mox kicks out. Kingston does the stretch plum, and Mox gets the win with the hammer and anvil elbows, followed by the paradigm shift. Jericho Appreciation Society come down, Santana Ortiz and Danielson come down, and the schmoz begins anew. This one goes for an impressively long time. Like, this is a chaotic-ass segment. It's a perfect way to build up to the Anarchy in the Arena match. Danielson is kind of limping, and Jericho targets it specifically, which makes me think that shit was fake. We get a DraftKings segment, which, man, get the fuck out of here. We get a very nice package where Mark Henry talks about how good Owen Hart was. Then some words from the rest of the matchups from the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. This was good shit all around. But it's match time again. Roppongi Vice versus FTR. It is neat, I guess, that Roppongi Vice is back together. As much as I love Trent Beretta and his team-ups with Rocky and Chucky T, I think it's time for Trent to hit that breakout single-star run that everyone is waiting for. Everyone is waiting for it. FTR are out, which makes me wonder. FTR are the hottest thing going right now. How do they not have a match on the pay-per-view? Something's gotta give. Even just set it up on Rampage. Just get them on the show. It doesn't matter. We start with some good chain stuff from Cash Wheeler and Rocky Romero and some international rope running. These guys are smooth as butter. Rocky is able to roll Cash up and almost locks in a cross arm breaker, but FTR regroup outside. Dax and Trent tag in, and boy am I excited. We get some international from them too, before Trent gets a big chop, which Dax returns, and they trade chops in the corner. Dax gets thrown in the corner, but hits a rad back elbow and a suplex, and Cash tags back in, hitting their assisted leg drop for a 2 count. Cash rolls Trent up, but Rocky had blind tagged in, and they get some double teaming in and a good 2 count as we go to picture-in-picture. Roppongi Vice get the upper hand, and we get to work over Cash and prevent some hot tags. They get pretty close, but Rocky is able to cut Dax off. We come out of picture-in-picture, and Dax is finally able to tag in, and he comes in hot, striking the fuck out of both guys until Trent throws Dax into the corner sternum first. Brett style, baby. Dax is able to get German suplexes, but he has to wrestle back in for the third one with a great bridge, but Rocky stomps him out of the pin. They hit the double knee strike on Dax, then take out Cash before some double teaming for a big 2 count. Trent goes for the strong 0 as Cash knocks Rocky off the top. Dax and Trent trade some tight roll-ups for 2s that look excellent. They trade dodging strikes till Trent is able to hit a big strong 0, but Cash pushes Rocky into the pinfall when Jeff Cobb and Great-O-Khan of the United Empire in New Japan Pro Wrestling run down and destroy both teams, putting Dax and Trent through tables and hold up the Ring of Honor tag team titles as we get the really rare no contest. This was an excellent match with a good ending. I ain't even mad. I'm guessing because of this New Japan guy's involvement, we're starting to build the Forbidden Door next month. I'm interested to see how this plays out. Both Roppongi Vice and FTR have to be real mad at United Empire, so maybe it's a 3-way? Should be good. Also, it's clear JR has no idea who Great-O-Khan is, which is kind of funny. The Hardys show up to talk about their match with the Young Bucks on Sunday. Matt cuts a boomer promo saying that while they had similar upbringings, they couldn't have cut it in the tough culture they went through in the 90s. They may not be in their prime anymore, but that doesn't matter because they're still going to win on Sunday. He says everybody knows the Bucks are Hardy cosplayers. Jeff says AEW is a clean slate for him, and they're in overprime, and the pressure to win is on. He says they have to beat the Bucks to go on and win the AEW tag team titles to cement their legendary run. Matt says the Hardys are better than the Bucks at every stage of their career, and they could never be us, and you can never beat us. Excellent promo from both these guys. I know I joked about it being a boomer promo at the beginning, but no, this was really good, fiery stuff from the both of them. He really sold how this sort of career mirroring rivalry that the two teams have has really kind of taken a personal nerve, really touched a nerve with the Hardy Boys. Good stuff. It's like they listened to my episode where I called them washed up and said, yeah, well, fuck that. We might not be as good as we used to be, but we're still great. Which I respect. They definitely listened to the show, no doubt about it. This is a good way to build up the match, I think. I truly have no doubt that between the Bucks and the Hardys, they're going to put together an excellent match, and I'm excited for it. Next up, we got Ricky Starks versus Jungle Boy versus Swerve Strickland. Starks and Swerve come down sans partners, but Jungle Boy does not. However, Jurassic Express go back. Jungle Boy is wearing the AEW tag title in a way that makes him look naked, which always makes me laugh. Starks is content to let Jungle Boy and Swerve fight each other, but as Swerve offers his hand to Jungle Boy, Starks jumps them. Everyone trades roll-ups, and we get some great guy-into-guy offense, where a guy counters a move into a move on the third guy. It's great. Ricky does a dive, and when a fan yells, "You missed!" Starks, without missing a beat, says, "Your daddy should have missed when he came in, you punk-ass bitch," which is incredible. It's amazing. I'm going to read it again, actually. Ricky does a dive, and when a fan yells, "You missed!" Starks, without missing a beat, says, "Your daddy should have missed when he came, you punk-ass bitch," which is incredible. Starks throws Swerve out of the ring while working over Jungle Boy and does a big rope walk arm breaker. Starks has incredible shithead energy. Swerve is finally able to get back in and does a diving sliding European uppercut to Starks' back. They trade blows on the apron before Jungle Boy charges. Gets stunned, Swerve hits a knee off the apron, and Jungle Boy hits a Hurricane Run off the apron. This match has some great sprints in it, but has weird pacing in between those sprints. That being said, this match was still awesome. I can only really imagine how much crazier it'll be when Luchasaurus, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Keith Lee are there. Jungle Boy tries to hit the poison run off the top, but Swerve lands on his feet, and it is awesome. We get a flurry of big moves till Starks hits the Michinoku driver but gets his pin broken up. The crowd show their appreciation. Starks hits the Rochambeau after poking Swerve in the eye, but Jungle Boy launches in and locks the snare trap that gets broken up by Swerve, who then hits the Swerve Stomp on Starks for the win. Hobbs is immediately out and beats up Jungle Boy and Swerve, but Luchasaurus is in for the save. Luchasaurus gives Hobbs the goozle, but Keith Lee hits the ring and the three big men stare down before he trades some quick strikes. And Keith Lee hits the plancha onto Luchasaurus and Hobbs. Then he and Swerve celebrate in the ring. This match was fantastic, and as far as being a little taste of what's to come on Sunday, it worked for me big time. You mean to tell me we get that badass match again, and we get their giant hold on. So we're getting that badass match again, but their giant friends are in there too to throw them around? How do I buy this show? We cut to Ethan Page, Dan Lambert, and Scorpio Sky with no belt. Lambert points out how stupid Frankie Kazarian, Sammy Guevara, and Ty Conti are for breaking the TNT title. This is true, as it's been nearly a week, and I still don't know what the fuck they were thinking. Lambert says it still won't get them a match, and says because American Top Team is so dominant, winning championships all over, he's got belt makers on speed dial, and is going to present Sky with his custom championship on Rampage Friday night. I love looking at belts, so I'm looking forward to it. Tony Schiavone. Every time. I can't not say his name wrong the first time I say it in a sentence. Every time. But Tony Schiavone is on the stage to talk about the Women's World Championship match and introduces Thunder Rosa. She comes out with a funny hat and no face paint. She says this is the face of someone who's fought for everything she's earned, and Serena is no champion as people chant for Rosa to her delight. She seems like genuinely kind of touched and excited when people chant for her, and it's nice. It's very sweet. She says Serena should blame herself for her hardships, which is weird. Especially the specific ones Serena Deeb brought up last week, like getting breast implants to satisfy old perverts. Like that's the weird thing to blame her for. Rosa used to look up to her, but no more. The war paint will be on, and she will get revenge for Tony and Dustin Rhodes. Her music starts, and she says Serena should be scared, which I thought was cool. This was an alright promo, not as good as Serena's promo last week, but I did like it. This is the face of a champion, is good stuff. The match between these two should be excellent. They're both great wrestlers. I just kind of wish they got more time to develop the match. I still think it'll pay off in the end, but the match is the product and not the build-up, after all. I could go for something a little juicier between these two. Oh no. Hold up. I lost my spot in the note. There we are. Tony is backstage. This guy runs around like crazy. Tony is backstage asking Red Velvet about losing her spot in the Owen thanks to Chris Statlander. Red says it was supposed to be her against Ruby Soho. Soho shows up wondering if she has a problem with her, and Red says she does and hands her a file on Statlander's weaknesses, saying this is everything she needs to know, and walks off. Soho says she's big enough to admit her last win over Statlander was by the skin of her teeth, but doesn't need the book, but might keep it in mind. Britt Baker versus Toni Storm for the semifinals for the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. Baker meets Jamie Hayter and Rebel on the ramp, but they go to the back. I can't tell if Storm's glasses are stupid or if they maybe are growing on me. This is the combo they built the whole tournament around, so this should be good. Some tie-up to start us off. Storm keeps a wrist lock on Baker and is able to get it back when Baker wrestles out. Then transitions to a headlock, then into a leg scissors. They do an interesting change-up thing, and Storm does a cool sliding leg drop, and they go outside. Storm hits a rad European uppercut, but Britt blocks getting slammed into the apron. Britt is able to get the upper hand finally when she rakes the eye of the flatliner on the steps. Britt rips up a sign someone has ringside, but I never saw what it said, so I hope they deserved it. Back in the ring, Baker works over Storm and does a gross pull through the ring post bit. Like, it looked cool as hell. Like, it looked like she was gonna pull her through the ring post. Baker does an arm-trapped chin lock. This match is real fundamental, like a real basic, bad guy is good but has to cheat type stuff. I don't mean that in a bad way. This match is very enjoyable. They trade forearms and Storm hits a strike in the corner and we counter the back and forth with some signature moves before Baker is finally able to hit the air raid slam. Jamie Hayter comes out and inadvertently distracts Baker, but she's able to kick out of the roll-up. Storm knocks Hayter off the apron and goes for the Storm Zero, which gets countered into the air raid, which gets countered into a roll-up, which gets blocked into a pin that gets Britt Baker the win when she grabs the ropes for leverage, the dirty fiend. Britt Baker goes to the finals of the Owen, facing winner of Chris Statlander versus Ruby Soho on Rampage. It's time for the main event. We get recaps of Kyle's excellent match. That's Kyle O'Reilly's excellent match against Rey Fenix and his shitty actions against Sting. Highlighting that Kyle tried to take out Sting. Joe gets a recap of his match against Johnny Elite and getting jumped by Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, and Satnam Singh, which is way less cool. We get some feeling out where O'Reilly kicks at Joe's legs to Joe's amusement. O'Reilly gets an awesome single leg takedown, but Joe's able to wrestle out. O'Reilly goes for some more wrestling, and Joe cuts it out with a big chop. O'Reilly goes for a Kimura, but Joe is able to suplex out, then hits a big elbow. Joe keeps striking O'Reilly and gets a 1 count after a suplex. O'Reilly is able to hit a knee and keep getting worked over. Joe keeps working over Joe's arm, which commentary points out is the arm that got hit with the pipe last week. Great ace strategy by Kyle O'Reilly to go after the arm that got hit with the pipe. That's what I would do. O'Reilly counters Joe's comeback with a dragon screw through the ropes, then hits a knee drop on the arm from the top rope. O'Reilly then goes for a cross arm breaker, but Joe is able to wrestle out. On the outside, Joe gets sat in the chair, and O'Reilly goes for a running attack, but Joe comes out with a huge elbow strike, then does a boot wash of his own. Joe inadvertently hits a fan who assures him, "It's all good, Joe." We get back in the ring, and Joe is gonna kill... We get back in the ring, and get "Joe is gonna kill you" chants, which is always great to hear. O'Reilly hits a cool hammerlock into a leg sweep thing, and picks Joe over with mounted strikes. Joe gets punished for a while, but comes back with the leg sweep, then a big boot and a senton. Joe counters a running attack with a huge lariat that only gets a 2, but O'Reilly looks fucking out. Both men come back up and Joe strikes O'Reilly in the corner and goes for the muscle buster, but O'Reilly is able to manipulate the arm into a Kimura and then into the Fujiwara armbar, but Joe makes it to the ropes. O'Reilly looks really frustrated and both men trade strikes. O'Reilly goes for the single leg again, but Joe counters with the knee, followed by a great exchange with a standing ovation. This match is excellent. Joe's able to get a rear naked choke while O'Reilly tries to control the wrist, but eventually succumbs and the ref calls for the bell. Adam Cole comes out to face Joe down and Dynamite comes to a close. This match was phenomenal, absolutely awesome. Both guys look great. Joe and O'Reilly have a very technical style that they were able to gel well. They told a real good story of struggle, and if O'Reilly were able to get out of that rear naked choke, well, you might just think you could have taken the win. Hands down, easy match of the night. So that was Rampage. No, that wasn't. So that was Dynamite. A very good episode, especially as the go home for Double or Nothing. Even while wishing some of the matches had a little more sauce, the food is ready. The matches announced for Rampage are all continuations of things that were worked over tonight. But it's Rampage time, baby. Let's get right down to it. By the way, I really only realized the totally breakneck pace of Rampage is, a Rampage. So I see what they were doing with the name finally. We start off immediately. Matt Sydal and Bryan Danielson, a guaranteed banger. We start off with some picture-perfect chain wrestling, and Danielson hits the knee drop. Sydal gets his own victory out, which Danielson admires. A little more, and we get a backbreaker, and then the European uppercuts start. Danielson does a rad variation of his surfboard stretch where he rolls Sydal through and elbows him, following a "Who was the best?" to the crowd. Sydal gets some offense in, but not for long, as Danielson answers with the knee strikes, and then we get a rope-hung knee drop, and Danielson teases his knee being hurt. Sydal counters out of a snapmare by landing on his feet and hitting a knee strike and a soul butt, but can't capitalize. Sydal is able to counter a back suplex into a Hurricane Rana and gets real close too. But we go to the top. Danielson goes for the double underhook suplex, but Sydal pushes him off, hits a Meteora that Danielson counters into a single leg Boston Crab, and the crowd go nuts. Danielson does his low kicks and that sound like he's chopping down a fucking tree, like full on axe into a tree trunk audio. Like he kicks so hard, it's amazing. We go to the top again, and Sydal hits a power bomb from the top that gets a 2 count and causes an AEW chant, which I agree. Some back and forth gets Danielson the Psycho knee, hammer and anvil elbows, then a fucking nuts variation of a guillotine, and Sydal passes out. Like I said, guaranteed banger. Just an incredible match. This is what living is all about, my friends. Go out of your way to watch this one. Hardy's music hit to a big response, and the Young Bucks come out dressed as the Hardys. Matt is dressed like 99 Matt. That is, Matt Jackson is dressed like 99 Matt Hardy, and Nick Jackson painted up sort of modern like Jeff. We get a goddamned Gangrel complete with bloodbath, and Brandon Cutler is dressed like Lita. This just fucking rules. The Bucks against 2 local boys do some of the Hardys' greatest hits and mock a nervousness in hitting a top rope move, which gets a "You still got it" chant. That just made me laugh. Then, when our local boys get some offense in, the Bucks stop playing around and start hitting super kicks, but do the Twist of Fate Swanton combo for the win. Nick kind of lays it in a way that's a little too real. Gangrel comes in to celebrate with them and gets jumped. The Bucks go for the BTE trigger, but the Hardys music play, and this time we get the real deal. Stare down for a second before the Bucks go for the attack, but the Hardys are too smart. Cutler saves the Bucks from the Twist of Fate, but Gangrel jumps Cutler. He hits the jumping DDT, and Jeff hits a real Swanton to send the Bucks packing. Good segment. So with that, we're ready for the Hardys match. I don't think that this is a match that needs a whole lot of build. You could honestly have just been like right here and there, like here and now, and just been like, hey, oh, by the way, the Bucks are going to face the Hardys on Sunday. That would have been fine. Like, there's enough hype around the two teams where they could just announce that. It's fine. But I do like the little story that they have going on. Darby Allin challenges Kyle O'Reilly to a match at Double or Nothing to defend Sting's honor on threat of interfering in the Undisputed Elite's matches that night. This is a totally empty threat, because can you imagine the blowback you'd get for ruining the finals of a tournament to honor Owen Hart? Dude would probably get fired. Just the same, that match should bang if it happens. Back in the ring, we have Dante Martin, who's going to face Max Caster. Caster is accompanied by the Ass Boys and Anthony Bowens, wheeled to the ring by Billy Gunn. This is a fun-ass group, I gotta say. Ass group, I get it. Max's rap is brutal and vicious as you'd expect. Austin goes for the Los Angeles, but Colton corrects him and still says Los Angeles. And Bowens finally gets it right with the Las Vegas. And scissors Billy. Dante is hurt enough and does a crazy springboard. Like, he gets high as hell. A quick schmoz, and Caster and Dante get in the ring, and referee Aubrey Edwards does the right thing and immediately kicks Caster's group out. Caster has Dante's cool barrel jump thing scouted and kicks his legs out. Some back and forth, and Caster catches a springboard and gets in the figure four. Dante flips it over and they get untangled, but Caster immediately slams Dante's knee. Dante goes for another springboard, and Caster kicks his legs out again. Caster goes for the mic drop, but Dante gets out of the way and hits a big sunset flip and mounts his comeback. Dante hits a big crossbody off the top, but only gets a 2. I swear, every time Dante Martin jumps, he goes at least 1.5 feet higher than he has to. It's crazy. Dante stun guns Caster and hits his 3-jump moonsault for the win. Pretty darn good. We get a promo package about Adam Cole and Samoa Joe meeting in the finals of the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. Cole talks about having to face not just Joe, but Joe's legacy, while they show footage of Cole's match with Jeff Hardy, which is a great touch. Cole says he's going to be a major player for AEW for years to come, and it starts with winning the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. Joe says Cole's time has come. This match should be good. I think I'm into it. Men of the Year and Dan Lambert are in the ring. Lambert talks his shit. I honestly didn't even get what he said. It's something like you can count on 3 things in life: death, taxes, and AEW fans in the crowd wearing shirts that are 2 sizes too small, like Punk's girlfriend. I have no idea what the fuck he was saying. But he says he's created a masterpiece of a belt for LA's favorite champion, and they present Scorpio Sky with his new belt. It looks good. It's the same design as the normal belt, but with a gold strap and a purple banner. It looks good. We cut to Sammy Guevara, Ty Conti, and Frankie Kazarian at the American Top Team gym. Kaz clearly hates Sammy, and I like that. They go in and admire the belts, teasing they're going to steal the interim TNT title that they won from Sammy initially, but break another case and each take a UFC belt. Sammy specifically takes the BMF belt. I saw on Twitter that Tony Khan and Dana White were hanging out before the show, so I guess UFC is going to be cool with them having these belts around. Ty alluded to her and Sammy coming on these belts too. They truly need to be stopped. Kaz finally gets down to business and says that Dan wants his belts back. They're going to need to agree to the mixed tag they've been demanding, which Kaz really hasn't been part of, now that I think about it, but whatever. Sky finally agrees, but says if the Men of the Year and Paige Van Zant do win, Kaz and Sammy can never challenge for the TNT title again, which the crowd really loves. They actually seem more excited for that than they were for the match itself. It's weird how no one is the good guy at all in this feud. Hopefully it really ends after this match, as this storyline should have been taken to the back and shot weeks ago. Ruby Soho and Chris Statlander are backstage for their main event promo. Soho says she needs to win the tournament to get out of the self-doubt she's felt for the last several months. Stat says she's had every opportunity taken away from her, but will not allow this one to be taken away too, and the crowd gets real excited. These were great promos. Both women were real great fan favorites and excellent wrestlers, and you could really feel the passion and fire behind each of their words. We kick off the match with a lockup and headlocks and leg scissors and leg sweeps and single legs. Real fundamental stuff. But this is the type of shit a fellow like me really loves. The crowd doesn't dislike Soho at this point, but they're reacting big to Stat. During these exchanges, Soho goes after Stat's bad knee and threatens a punch to the face, but pulls back each time. Like she's ready and able to fight dirty, but has to find the will. During picture-in-picture, Stat does a stalling suplex that lasts nearly as long as an entire one of the advertisements that played. Cool as fuck. Bunch of back-and-forth offense, with each woman breaking out of countering moves, breaks down into trading forearms. But after an off-the-rope tornado DDT attempted by Soho, Statlander hits a power slam. We get in the corner, and Stat fireman's carries Soho up the middle rope, but Soho hits the Frankensteiner. Stat hits a powerbomb, but only gets a 2. She goes for a gorilla press, but drops Soho due to her shoulder being in bad shape. Soho hits no future, but Stat falls out of the ring. When they get back in the ring, Soho gets a Kimura lock in, but Stat is long enough that she's able to just reach the ropes. Stat blocks a Tejeras and does like an electric chair slam into the turnbuckle, which is crazy. Then hits a roll through German suplex into like a fisherman slam for a 2 count, and the audience actually starts booing. They want Statlander to win so bad, but the booing turns into a "this is awesome" chant, which it is. Stat goes for the spider crab, but Soho kicks her way out and cradles Stat for the win. The crowd is very upset, but this was a great match. Britt Baker comes out with a mic, but Soho cuts her off, saying Britt's talked for 2 years and she's getting her words in. The crowd is barely letting her speak, they're booing so loud. Oh my goodness. Soho has to say, "I know you're upset, I'm a fan of hers too." Soho says she's owed Britt a receipt since AEW Grand Slam, and on Sunday, she's cashing it in, and we cut to black. I feel like there might have been a longer stare down if Soho didn't have to talk down the crowd. I hope at the very least they showed some appreciation of Soho after they went off the air, because this was totally an excellent match. And I'm calling it easy for match of the night. And you know what? Match of the week. So that's it. We've gone home. Are you ready for Double or Nothing? Let's look at the card. We got the Double or Nothing buy-in. Tony Nese and Smart Mark Sterling versus Danhausen and Hook. And that's it for the buy-in. I wonder if they're going to announce more matches, but there are 12 matches on this card, not including this buy-in. So if they want, people to be just fucking dead at the end of the show, they probably better cool it. Double or Nothing proper, we get Hangman Adam Page versus CM Punk for the AEW World title. Serena Deeb versus Thunder Rosa for the AEW Women's World title. 3-way match for the AEW Tag Team titles. Swerve in Our Glory, Jurassic Express, and Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs face off. Jade Cargill versus Anna Jay for the TBS title. The Hardy Brothers versus the Young Bucks. Death Triangle versus House of Black. The Jericho Appreciation Society versus Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley, Eddie Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz for the Anarchy in the Arena match. Can you tell that I still don't know the new names of 2.0? You know what? I do know 2.0. Fair enough. Jericho Appreciation Society, Chris Jericho, Jake Hager, excuse me, Daniel Garcia in 2.0 versus Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley, Eddie Kingston, Santana Ortiz. Okay. MJF versus Wardlow. Scorpio Sky, Ethan Page, and Paige Van Zant versus Frankie Kazarian, Sammy Guevara, and Ty Conti. Kyle O'Reilly versus Darby Allin. Britt Baker versus Ruby Soho for the Owen Hart Foundation Women's Tournament Finals, and Adam Cole, baby, versus Samoa Joe for the Owen Hart Foundation Men's Tournament Finals. 12 matches. 12 matches here. 12. That's so many. But hey, even if I don't find the build to every match to be very satisfying, I'm into every match on the card. Even if one of those matches I'm excited to see just to get it over with. But it's going to be a good show. I'm going to do a special off-the-cuff type episode to celebrate. I hope you'll join me, as it's going to be fun. Until then, I love you. See you next time.